Hey, what's up, WWE Games fans? This is THQ Tank, your community manager for all WWE Games here at THQ, and I'm back once again for W12 Developer Gameplay Q&A number 3 with your lead designer, Corey Ledesma.
Corey Ledesma, what's up?
Scared me, man. Scared me.
Keep you on your toes, man.
I know. I'm trying. These are fun. So give us a little project update. What's going on in
Dude, it's
Project
Friday.
Week?
It's Friday. We want to go home for the weekend, chill on the beach. We've been working like dogs. It's crazy. We're just working a lot of hours. A lot of things going on. It's at a really critical stage right now. We just wrapped up tuning phase, where the creative team usually spends most of their time making sure everything's playing well, fine-tuning all that.
Yeah.
Now we're starting to transition to the bug phase, where Ukes, our developer, is only working on fixing bugs. Still, there are some tweaks we're doing to gameplay tuning, but they're more number changes. Stuff like attributes or damage values and things like that that don't really affect the code too much and won't cause a lot of problems. We make a lot of changes. So, really busy, yeah.
Yeah, I can tell. And I know we can't get into it just yet, but I've been hearing rumblings that based on community feedback from recent events and even stuff we've seen on the boards, that in these kind of final stages before we move to bug phases, you guys have actually been able to implement some pretty cool changes that we'll be able to reveal later this summer, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been posting some of the changes on Twitter about fan feedback that we've been getting, and we were able to quickly sneak them in right before tuning complete, which is really cool. So credit to the fans for sending us that feedback, and their dedication to the franchise is always awesome. And then we do have some other things that we snuck in there too as well, which we'll be revealing a little bit later, like you mentioned. And then also, I've been getting a lot of bugs recently from the fans as well, bugs from last year's game, and so that's always good too to double check. Oh yeah, did we fix that? Because we carry over a lot of the same bugs from last year to make sure we address that, but sometimes things slip through the cracks. There's so many bugs to work on that it's always good to get those as well.
So what you're saying is if the fans follow you at Real Corey Ledesma on Twitter and they send you a bug,
yes,
you'll do your best to review it and
yes. And these are more the obscure, crazy bugs, because the frequent ones are the ones that are kind of right in your face. We've probably already spotted and fixed.
Is there an example of one that you got on Twitter that you can recall? Or even just one in general that the fans have asked to have fixed that just comes to mind for you right now?
There have been some I know that we're doing with our FAQ project as well. People talking about the sound effect bugs with the ladder, double checking to see if that's fixed. I know there's been some other sound bugs that have also popped up. Those are sometimes more the obscure ones that happen during certain situations.
But they're important.
Yeah, absolutely. They're important, and they distract from the quality experience you're trying to have when there's some annoying sound bug going on. So a lot of good stuff like that.
All right, Corey, are you ready for this?
Let's get into it.
Are you ready? Are you ready to bring it? You ready to bring it?
This is my Rock Here Comes the Pain action figure that they actually made just for the game. It's pretty cool. Having sitting around here reminding me of how great Here Comes the Pain was, and always.
And when you're at the end of the project, you always say to yourself, "Here comes the pain."
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. There goes
he looks good next to the Ultimate Warrior there. Keep him there. Anyways,
and this by no means that doesn't mean that any of these characters are in the game.
Of course, doesn't mean any of these characters are in the game. Let's not allude to that.
Yeah.
Well, let's get right into it. So this week we focused on our Facebook page, which again, if you're not one of the 990,000 people following us on Facebook, it's facebook.com/WWGames. Next week for our developer Q&A, we're going to be hitting up the message boards once again, and then the week after that we'll be doing Twitter. So once again, we're changing it up week to week to try and touch and hit all of the WWE Games fans out there. So I'm going to jump right into this. First question this week comes to us from Derek Cruz. He says, in SmackDown 2011, when creating a person's entrance and importing a song from your 360 as his/her theme song, it was always amplified to the point you couldn't even hear the crowd or the announcer even. Please tell me this has been fixed.
Yeah, this is one of those bugs we were talking about.
There you go.
Obviously, wasn't caught, or either was caught too late to be able to address. So now that we have this on our radar, we're definitely going to be investigating to make sure that it will be fixed. I haven't personally seen whether it's been fixed yet or not. I know it's been reported, so hopefully that fix will make it in this year's game.
Well, if he's blasting Megadeth and Kiss as his theme song, then can't always account for the heavy metal.
Yeah, that's right.
But we'll do our best.
To hear the crowd then,
Yeah, that's true. Next question comes to us from Ishal Sidki. Sounds like a friend from one of our many international territories. I know you guys said that you could end a move by someone interfering in it. Could that mean like someone's doing a suplex and say Edge comes in and does a spear on the person delivering the move?
Right.
I think really what this person is alluding to is some of the new interruption mechanics, specifically in like a triple threat match, for example.
Right. Yeah, this is a good question, and what we're doing this year is having the moves be able to be interrupted, and the moves will simply break when they are interrupted. I think what he's alluding to in this question is whether you kind of link one move into another move. And we don't have that working for 12, but that's something that's kind of in the next phase, something that we're really excited about introducing, is be able to link moves into like that. You know, if you are doing a suplex, someone comes in and does a spear, we can actually sync those moves, and that spear will continue on where the suplex broke up. It's really complex to be able to handle that situation just because we have so many different moves, so many different situations, and you have to have all those animations sync up together, look good. So it's a big challenge, a big hurdle for us tech-wise, as well as just animation support, make sure all that looks good, that blending between those motions. So we want to make sure we do that right. So this year you will be able to break up the animations. If you are doing a suplex, you walk up to them and punch them and break it. In the future, we're going to have to do those moves syncing together, which I think this person's talking about.
And I think that kind of dovetails nicely into a reminder about the animation blending in this game that you guys have worked pretty hard on. Can you remind people a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, it's just a lot of times in a wrestling game in particular, there's so many different situations that are going on, so many thousands of moves that we're trying to support, and so be able to blend between those moves nicely, also to a third party interrupting those moves and making that look good is a huge challenge. It sucks up a lot of animation resources, and it's something that has plagued the series in the past. We've had some ugliness where things just automatically, we call it warp all the time, it warp into position so everything looks nice. But that warp happens in a second. You're like, whoa, how did that guy all of a sudden rotate real quick? That's the stuff we're trying to clean up, and it looks much, much, much better this year. So that's good, but it does take a lot of time to clean it up. And we're trying to do a zero tolerance approach to it, where anytime we see that happen, it's a must fix. You got to fix that situation, just so it's as clean as possible. So introducing something like this person was talking about, to be able to sync in another move, that's, like I mentioned, we want that to be done the right way and not introduce a bunch of ugliness that breaks the game or makes it look really bad. So we're investigating what approach we're going to take and making sure that we can do it the right way.
Cool. That's awesome. Well, I'm sure you should be happy about that. Clinton Washington asks us, is the way you get out of a steel cage different? The All-Stars way is a lot more competitive. It's actually a mini game. And is the door still gone from the Hell in a Cell?
Oh, 2 questions. He snuck in 2.
Yeah, he did. You know, they've been doing that to me lately. They trick me. You know, they know Aaron Tank is just going to keep reading, so I might as well just put it there at the end.
Okay, so steel cage. What we've done is we have made some enhancements to the steel cage match. I mentioned earlier, maybe it was an earlier Q&A, where we did focus the majority of our effort on core gameplay. And that doesn't mean we neglected all the other match types, it just means it wasn't the main focus. Because we wanted that focus to obviously be on core gameplay, because that's touched in every single match type, right? If we spend a lot of time on one match type, that means core gets neglected. But what we did with cage matches, that it's the still same approach to getting out of the cage, pretty much the same minigame, maybe a minor little facelift to it, but still the same approach. But what we've done is actually we captured all of the climbing motions, and we've also added reversals for when you're climbing. So in the past games we didn't have that. So when someone, when you were climbing, someone reached up to try to grab you, it was automatic pull down. Now we've actually added reversal animations in there. So if he does try to reach for you, you can reverse it. Makes the match a lot more competitive and doesn't rely so much on downtime, where the guy, you have to get him all beaten, down. He's laying down there forever, and he has to be down on the mat for 15 seconds for you to get out of the cage. That's the only way you can escape. That's changed now with the reversal animation. So that makes a big difference. I think it's going to be much, much, much more competitive with that addition. And all the new climbing motions look fantastic. They were kind of a little stiff and robotic in the past, but all these new motions look great. So you'll definitely notice those changes in the steel cage match. Like I mentioned, nothing drastic or wow, cage match totally different, but definitely a much more fun and competitive experience.
Awesome.
And then the Hell in a Cell. I was asking about a door. He
was asking about the infamous Hell in a Cell door.
Right. So what we've done is we haven't added a door. We wanted to make sure that breaking out the cage wall was an easier experience. That was kind of a difficult mechanic to do. So we've actually tweaked that quite a bit, so it's a lot easier to break through the cage wall, but that's still the main approach to get out. And we don't want you just to have a door where you can just simply walk out.
Of course.
We just think that's kind of anticlimactic. It doesn't mean we might not bring that in next year, or we might explore some different things. Like I said before, focusing on core gameplay, so it didn't give us a lot of time to do major revamps. What we did was take the existing system but improve it. And also you're able to store finishers, which makes it easier to break out of the cage door, because before you had to get a certain window which you can do it. Now that you have stored ones, you can do it whenever you have one stored. So it makes breaking out a lot easier. So I think fans will be happy with that change, but if you're expecting a door, that's not in this year.
Well, I'm glad we spent a minute talking about a door. But we do know how important it is to the fans to be as authentic as possible, and at the end of the day, this is a video game, and sometimes you have to walk that line of video game authenticity versus true, absolute one-to-one WWE authenticity, and that's not an easy line to walk.
Yeah, and the challenge for us is that we do have so many match types, and we do have so many fan requests, so many things we want to fix, and it's always this battle we have with prioritizing what's most important. And we just made a commitment to say, hey, look, core gameplay hasn't gotten a major facelift in such a long time. It deserves all the attention. Unfortunately, that does mean there's some sacrifices where other match types take a little bit of a back seat. But they're still great, and we still improved a lot of them slightly, but you got to make those choices, and they're not easy choices to make. And every year it seems like the fans throw out 100 things they want.
Of course.
And we maybe, this year I think we're doing a much better job. We probably fixed maybe, 30% of them, because there's so many. We're trying our best, but then there's all those that don't get addressed, and they're just on the list for next year. And the good thing is that we do have that list, and the good thing is we are closer to the community this year, getting that feedback. So I think fans throughout the years are going to see a lot more feedback addressed, and a lot more of the features that they want in the game.
Good. And we're going to make a point to illustrate those changes, especially from the surveys and the boards and Twitter and all that stuff. So it's great that you guys are doing that, and I know the community out there is starting to get a better understanding. So next question comes to us from, let's go with Anthony Martinez. Simply asks, is there a larger moveset in the game?
Larger moveset. It's kind of a vague question. I don't know if he's talking about there's larger amount of moves total, which we did capture quite a few more new moves.
Well, I think that's a fair way to answer it.
And then also, as far as how many moves, which I think maybe Anthony's asking, is how many moves are each superstar able to do. It's relatively similar to last year, but what we added is the limb targeting moves, which do open up a couple new moves for you to do. And it's a modifier button that you can go ahead and hold the modifier button and hit one of the 4 face buttons to be able to target a certain body part. And so those are new moves that aren't part of your normal moveset from last year. So it does open up your moveset quite a bit. I think it adds, I want to say 4 or 5 moves, something like that. So in that regard, it has increased, but I'm not sure exactly what.
No, I think that's fair. I think, again, at the end of the day, the game has hundreds of moves, tons of moves.
Well, I know a lot of them have been taken out. I know there's a lot of fan backlash about that, and we definitely apologize about that. It's kind of one of those decisions to remove some moves that we didn't think were up to par quality-wise. Sure. But what we've learned is obviously the fans prefer the moves at low quality versus not having them in the game in high-quality motion. So we're going to try to strike that balance. We're going to be a lot more careful about removing moves. We're going to try to add a lot more of those moves back into the game, make sure everything's high quality. And we apologize about that approach. Sometimes those tough decisions we have to make. But I think we understand now clearly what the fans want, and we'll make sure we deliver that.
Yeah, and I think, again, it's giving the fans an understanding of the why as well, which is what we're doing here on camera. Right. We're explaining more about our development process. We're explaining the month to month how we go, and so I think the fans gain a lot more respect for us when they hear why we had to do X versus Y.
Right, and some of the moves we removed, for all the way back to the PlayStation 1 days, and so they weren't. A lot of them weren't maybe mo-capped,
right?
Which means they were hand animated. Which some people ask us, why don't you hand animate? You don't necessarily get the realism in the move. There are some advantages to it, but really it's a really painstaking, long process. We get much more moves in there by doing mocap, because then that data is all captured and we just put that right into the game. Also, as we update the model rig and we have the old animations on there, it doesn't translate as well, because we've added new bones or new ways to move the models, and so having the old animations don't always necessarily translate well to that. So those are some of the quality concerns that we had. Having moves that have been in the 2 generations worth of consoles is really old moves.
Yeah, well, we're trying to move forward here. And I think it's a very fair point. Next question comes to us from
Quincy.
Let's go with Quincy. Quincy Albers says, "Are you able to select another victory scene?"
Are you able to select another? I think what they're asking is if you can select victory scenes in crit entrance, and what we have in WWE12. Well, we don't support in WWE12, unfortunately. It's one of those features that we had on our list, and we unfortunately just ran out of time with all the things we were trying to accomplish. But Quincy, definitely rest assured that it's on our wish list to get in there. We know how important it is to be able to fully customize all aspects of your character, and Victory Chain's one of those. So we'll definitely have it on the list for future years.
Cool. And I think that's totally awesome. I mean, the game again offers one of the best creative suites in any game. Period. We're already giving the fans. I mean, it's amazing what the fans are doing with our creative suite lately. I saw a whole WCW video the other day. I saw an Edge tribute video the other day. I mean, just all these different things that people are doing with the game, highlight reels, creations, the Mattel contest that we did with the guy who got his real figure created. Figure, yeah. You know,
blows my mind. Yeah, it's cool.
It is. I think sometimes the fans may take for granted how robust and powerful that system is, because always thinking about the little things that you can continue adding. When it's like let's use that system to its fullest potential first, and we're going to keep building on top of it.
Right.
Next question comes to us from Angel Melendez. This is a little bit of a general question. He's basically asking, do the superstars feel different from one another this year? So can you explain if there's a feeling between the big man and the small man, and kind of how that feels in WWE12?
Yeah, some of the things we're noticing is that the superstars are definitely feeling different compared to last year. And some of the additions that have helped make that change is some of the new attributes that we've added. We've added quite a few more attributes, and it helps us differentiate the characters. So now we have attributes for grapple damage versus strike damage, strike defense, grapple defense, and we can kind of further differentiate the guys. Whereas before we only had 7 or 8 attributes. Guys start to feel a little similar, they play similar. Now that we have, I think it's around 13 attributes, I believe, 12, 13, that helps us set them apart a little bit more. So we can, there's an agility attribute which determines the jump length of a superstar. Before that was tied to speed, so if you were Rey Mysterio, no matter what, if your speed was real high, you're going to be able to jump real far. But hey, maybe there's a bigger guy that does jumping attacks that can jump far, but we don't necessarily want him to be fast walking, running around the ring. So we're able to do some more of that fine-tuning there to make the guys feel different, and also make it so that you have different strategy with each guy that you're playing with. So that's definitely helped out quite a bit. Also with the weight classes, we have certain things like how fast you can grapple or tie to the weight classes. So the bigger guys are going to have a slower reach, quick guys have a real fast reach. That gives them an advantage there. So some new additions like that I think are definitely helping the superstars feel different in the match.
Cool. Well, I think Angel's going to be happy about that answer.
Yeah, I think so.
I hope so. Right, Angel? Yes. Cool. All right, 2 more questions here. Let's go with these are fairly specific, so that's good. Chris Young asks us, please let me know if the easy pin situation has been fixed.
Yeah, absolutely. That was an unfortunate bug in last year's game. It did hurt the playability quite a bit to have an easy way to win like that.
Right.
And that was one of the first things that we made sure was fixed.
Awesome.
So, yep, it's working well now. The AI is much more competitive this year. We have a designer that's dedicated to AI, spending a lot of time with it. I know we made the claim early on that, hey, Legend difficulty is really going to be crazy hard this year, and we're striving to make sure that's the case. And there shouldn't be any easy wins unless you're playing on a easy difficulty level and you're just a madman at the game.
There's a few of those guys out there.
Oh, absolutely, no doubt.
Right on. Well, it's good to hear that we've nailed some exploits. Final question comes to us from O'Shea Rice. He says, can you hold the pin button off of top rope moves this year?
This is one that we really wanted to get in, and it was a time issue. We just didn't have the time to get it in.
Sure.
We did add some pin combinations to other grapple moves. So you will see a couple of new ones this year. But as far as the diving attacks, we really wanted to add that in there, and it's something that we're going to put on our list for next year. Just didn't have the resources and time to get it all in there.
Cool, and I think that's again a fair answer, and it's again to kind of stress to the community that this game, it's not a 1-year title, it's a 5 to 6 year title that we keep building on.
That's right.
Just like many other sports titles out there. The dev team is doing everything they can to take all of your feedback and improve in every single last bit of area. And at the end of the day, I mean, this is the most authentic and realistic wrestling game that you're going to get. And we know the fans are going to be happy with that ultimately.
And with the diving pin combination moves, doesn't mean that maybe you can make it in a DLC or something like that.
There you go.
Possibilities
There you
are
go.
still there. I'm not going to rule that out.
Maybe, I like it.
Maybe
we like when Corey does that. So that's all we got for Dev Q&A number 3.
Yes.
Number 3, yes, we're on number 3 here. A couple quick reminders out there for W Games community. At the end of this month, we're actually going to be revealing our pre-order program for W12, which is going to be very cool, if I do say so myself.
It's one of the better pre-order offers I've seen. I was surprised we're making a big splash like that. It's cool. I think fans are going to be stoked about the offer, and it's a must pre-order type of offer, I think.
Absolutely. It is definitely a must pre-order. Must. Emphasis on must. And then, of course, as we traditionally do, when the SummerSlam pay-per-view comes around later in August, that's really when we're going to be blowing up with a lot more info, revealing the bulk of our roster. So hang tight for the next few weeks. We're going to keep doing these Q&As and keep explaining as much as we can about the game and showing what we can, especially on our website at www.thq.com or Facebook, Twitter, or even on YouTube. So keep following us, staying in tune. I'm Aaron THQ Tank Kaufman, your community manager at WWE Games. This is Corey Ledesma, your lead designer. We thank you once again, and have a great weekend.
Every champion reinvents himself. Every champion never stops pushing. Bigger.